It's Boxing Insider Radio.
How dare them even to challenge me, these fighters, with their primitive boxing skills. You know what I mean? They're as good as dead.
I'm going to show you how great I am.
It's about how much you can take and keep moving forward.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Boxing Insider Radio, bringing you the very best in boxing from around the world.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Boxinginsider.com radio. This is the special Floyd Money Mayweather Logan Paul post-fight edition. I've got the cash-out king himself, Curtis Jones, Henry DeLeon, top boxing trainer in all of New York, and, of course, myself, Larry, the owner of Boxinginsider.com. And I am holding in my hand an autographed Floyd Money Mayweather autographed WBC belt because Floyd Mayweather is the top fighter in the history of boxing. And once again, he proved it by carrying Logan Paul, who's potentially the number one pound-for-pound boxer in all the world right now, to 8 rounds, and we all watched it. Well, guys, what did you guys think of this fight?
Got your hat.
Yo, got your hat. That's his
got
brother.
your hat. I mean, I didn't realize how big they were. Like, that fucking guy, that dude was huge. I don't know if Floyd is that tiny or that guy was huge. Like, I don't know. His arms, it was both. Floyd's small and that dude is huge. I mean, the fight went exactly the way I thought it would go. Like, he came out swinging like a bat out of hell. He got tired. He took some nice body shots. You know what I mean? And he was holding on. I think he was doing a sponsorship for Huggies. You know what I'm saying? He was slow dancing with Floyd all night. I don't know. But it was actually entertaining to be honest with you. I actually was kind of entertained watching it. How about you, Henry?
I thought it was a fun fight. Listen, I mean, everybody, we all expected it to be exactly what it turned out to be. I mean, we all were hoping for a knockout. We were all hoping for Floyd to knock the guy down, knock him out, stop him even. It didn't happen, unfortunately. So I'd say maybe I was a little disappointed in that aspect. But for the most part, I think, kudos to Logan Paul. I mean, good on him for making it through 8 rounds, even if he was hugging. I mean, he lasted 8 rounds with TBE.
Let's talk about the most famous hug that went around the internet the next day, where apparently Floyd hit him with a hook and he crumbled.
No, it was a counter right hand.
Okay, well, he picked him back up. What do you think that he knocked him down, or you think that's just
No,
I don't think so.
No, let me tell you something. It's boxing. He didn't knock him down. But I would say this though, like, Floyd is older. We have to take in accountability that Floyd is 45 years old, and he's not the biggest puncher in boxing. And he's like 40-something pounds smaller than the guy. So, like, I ain't gonna lie, I wanted him to stop him. But, like, when I saw, like, the size, I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's not gonna stop this guy. It's
he could have had had there not been so much holding on Logan Paul's part, we probably would have saw a stoppage. Again, we all know that fatigueness, that basically kills you. The minute you fatigue in the ring, that's it. All it takes is just one well-placed shot and you're going down.
Let me tell you, my man Aaron Snowwell said, fatigue makes cowards out of everybody. Mm-hmm. Fatigue makes cowards out of everyone. I mean, I think if it went to 12 rounds, I think it wouldn't have went 12 rounds. I think he would have collapsed the next round.
But now here's a question I have for both you guys. Do you guys think that the final, I know there was no judges, there's no definite decision on who won, who lost, but can we say that Logan Paul is the one that gained more out of this fight? He achieved more out of this exhibition.
Henry,
no,
gained $130 million.
Well, let's put the money aside. Obviously, we know that guy made so much money. Let's put that aside for now. I'm just saying, in regards to the exhibition, to the bout, who do you guys think gained the most out of it?
Floyd
not
did.
Financially.
Logan did. Logan
I
is.
mean, no, you
I
can't
know
really say
Curtis
that.
is going to find this offensive, but deal with it, Curtis. The fact of the matter is, Logan Paul and his brother Jake's are clearly the biggest. I'm not saying the best fighters. I'm saying they're currently the biggest draws in boxing. Nobody in the box office.
Yeah, but they come with
That's
a
crazy.
different, but it's a different demographic.
But who
Like
cares if they're buying pay-per-views at $50 a pop? Who cares if it's your little brother or you?
What are you talking about? I fucking bought WWE pay-per-view before, and I knew that shit was fake. I'm just saying, like,
Well, this wasn't fake.
that was fake.
That was not fake. It was an exhibition fight.
It was fake. It was fake.
But
Fake
it's
news.
interesting because I think they're using Floyd's blueprint in the sense where they make themselves the bad guys. So whether you like the guys,
they're
you're
not.
gonna
They're
pay.
not.
Hold on, listen. They pay to see the guys fight because they like them, or you're paying to see the fight in hopes that these guys get stopped, that they get beat up.
But you want
One way or another, they're
we
generating
wanna see them-
attention.
We want to see them get their asses kicked, but their whole young fan base thinks these kids.
Yo,
This gives them. This gives an entire generation of kids hope that they can get in the ring and they can fight Floyd Mayweather.
yo.
Or in my case, I can fight you, Curtis Jones.
No, you don't want to get killed. But like, did you
don't
guys see? Did you guys see Zab Judah's Instagram with the little white kid? It was like, all he has to do is just hit him one time in the head. It was like this little white kid at this event. Like, this is the demographic. Like, these are kids that idolize these people. These are not boxing fans that are at this fight. Like,
Curtis,
everybody.
a little
There's
kid,
boxing fans there, 100%.
were you ever a
fans there.
little kid that watched boxing as a kid? So don't just because they didn't come up the same way we came up as boxing fans. I mean, I'm sorry. Some of these boxing fans are going to stick around.
How
Yo,
old were you, Curtis?
we
Let me
were
ask you.
so
Let me ask you,
wrong.
Curtis. Hold on. How old were you, Curtis, when you saw your first boxing fight?
I was about like maybe
45.
5, 6, somewhere around there. A little.
Do
I
you
was young.
remember
It
who it
was
was?
a
that
little
fought?
kid. Do you think that somebody just had
The first person I ever saw fight was Mike Tyson.
But did you see him because you just happened to watch it, or because
No,
you already
everybody
knew who the guy was?
everybody was watching Mike Tyson there. Like that. I mean, I knew who Mike Tyson was before I even knew how to use the bathroom right. You know what I mean? I still was peeing on the toilet seat. You know what I mean? But that was the first fight I actually watched was Mike Tyson. But I always knew about like Muhammad Ali. You always saw like little skits of him shuffling in the ring and dancing with his arms up in the air. You always saw stuff like that. But the first fight I actually saw was Mike Tyson. I'm not too sure exactly who he fought, but it was Tyson.
My first fight was actually Oscar De La Hoya versus Trinidad. I remember that my dad took us to some restaurant. I was young, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. But
Can I time you out real quick? Can I time you out
I
real
had my
quick?
first press credential at that fight.
Yeah, look. Can I time you out real quick?
Go on.
I believe Oscar De La Hoya fought Felix Trinidad with 97.
Well, I was born 92.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Not 97. That had to be 2000-ish.
No, it was
Anyways.
99. It was actually 99.
99,
Anyways, I
2000.
remember that fight. I remember my dad took me to some restaurant where they shut the restaurant down. They pulled down this big screen, and they had like a fight party there. And obviously, at the time, I didn't know what was going on, but I remember seeing two guys going at it. Then the first time that I actually watched a boxing fight would be years later when De La Hoya fought Mayweather. And then my first pay-per-view that I ever purchased on my own was Calzaghe versus Roy Jones Jr. And then in between that, I would see fights, but I wouldn't know who these guys were on TV. I would just see two guys going at it. But I remember that as I started getting more and more into it, I grew more of I was more attracted to it. So now these kids are watching Logan Paul. I know they're not our favorite fighters, but this is what's bringing them into the sport. This is what's introducing them to the sport. So now they're going to be familiar with boxing because of these guys.
You know what's gonna happen, and it's sad. They're not even gonna make it to the fight. They're gonna walk into a gym and get the rude awakening of their life.
Do you think they're gonna go in there and just try to call somebody out?
And they're gonna get fucked up. Pardon my language. They're gonna get their ass whooped.
I don't think so. I think honestly,
I know so.
I think a lot of the criticism that the Paul brothers have is because they got into the sport so very late. They didn't go down the traditional way like we did. Most other fighters did. And so they kind of like skipped the line and went straight to the main event level, And now you have kids who obviously are not going to be able to do that so easily. So therefore, they're going to go into the gym. They're going to want to start boxing. They're going to want to pick up a pair of gloves because they saw these guys, the Paul brothers, doing this on TV.
No, but they're selling pay-per-views to like the people that are buying the pay-per-views are not at all boxing fans. They're not even curious about boxing. Like their fans are like the little city jackass things they do on YouTube and TikTok or whatever the hell they do. Got your hat. But I'm just saying, like, us boxing fans tuned in because Floyd was fighting.
We tuned in because we were hoping that Floyd was going to stop this kid. That's the real reason why we tuned in. Not because Floyd was fighting, because I know real boxing fans that didn't even tune into the Mayweather Andre Berto fight, and that was a legitimate fight. But this fight, a lot of people were more tuned in because we were all hoping that Floyd would put this guy in his place and show him what the real boxing world was about.
I feel like Floyd did the boxing world a disservice, not because of he didn't stop him, just because he's Floyd. He did the boxing world a disservice. Now put Logan Paul in there with a Badu Jack, or like he could have put him in there with Badu Jack. Badu Jack would have knocked him out.
But the Badu Jack fight would not have sold as much as the Floyd Mayweather would have fought.
It wouldn't. No, of course, it was a money grab. Don't get it like he said it himself.
I mean, Floyd was open about that too. He said it that
I robbed the bank without a gun. He robbed the bank without a gun.
Bank robbery. That's what he said. And so again, I think so. The title of the show was called Bragging Rights, right? So at the end of the show, who do you think had the more bragging rights? Was it
Logan
Paul or
no?
100%.
Listen,
100%.
If your claim to fame is that I got beat up by a guy that's damn near 50 pounds lighter than me, then that's the standard. If that's the standard, then I don't want to. That's horrible. That can't be the standard.
Okay, Curtis, that's dishonest because what the standard here is, you have a kid who was 0-1. He just had one draw against a guy who we can't even pronounce his name right.
No, he got a loss.
He lost. It was a loss.
He lost to KRS-One.
He lost to KS-22, right? Then
KRS-One.
He gets put in a fight with the greatest fighter of our generation. Now, clearly, Floyd was sparring him. I mean, clearly, this would be like, I don't know. But Floyd wasn't coming at him to kill, but he lasted 8 rounds.
I don't know. So Floyd
did.
Floyd tried to hurt him. Floyd,
he did.
He fought in a way that we haven't seen Floyd fight in God knows how long. He put his shield up and he walked that kid down. He walked the bigger kid down, and he tried his best to land these clean shots. That pullback right hand, that left hook, and Logan Paul was smart enough to grab him.
Did you not hear what Floyd said in between the corner? Floyd's corner man goes, "Yo, use the jab." He's like, "Yo, he too big. I can't jab. I can't use the jab. He too big." You know what I mean? Otherwise, if he would have jabbed him, he would have got hit. The guy was just too big. Listen, we got to also look at Logan Paul's background. His background is wrestling. He's a wrestler, so he know how to grab.
He's a Disney kid.
But going back to the question,
is he really a Disney kid?
That's where his fan base originally came from. Him and his brother were
so
like kids.
But going back to what I was asking you, Curtis,
yeah.
So at the outcome of all this, do you not think that he has the most bragging rights at the end of the show?
Hell no.
I mean, he can say just hear me out. He can easily argue he went 8 rounds with arguably the greatest boxer of our era. He made X amount of money. He got hit clean and he wasn't put down. He obviously skill-wise, we all know that he's really not that good. But again, he made it through 8 rounds with Floyd Mayweather.
But listen. We are lowering the standards for these kids. Hell no. Those kids suck. He got beat up by a small old man. A small little old man.
Yes, I'm not saying he won the fight.
Old man, you're talking about the greatest fighter of our generation.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that he won that fight.
His prime for the last 15 years.
He could be 90 years old and could beat the crap out of top Golden Gloves contenders. He's got such good skills.
Listen, of course.
Discount to Floyd Mayweather just because
discounting Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather did what he did.
Signed a business deal to play around with 8 rounds with the Disney kid. And I'm sorry that we gave this kid no credit. And I'm not saying that he's great.
You're trying to say he gets credit?
I'm saying he gets a hell of a lot of credit. Anyone who doesn't give this kid Logan Paul and his brother credit are absolute haters.
Everybody that's listening to Boxinginsider.com radio, please excuse my host Larry Goldberg for giving.
But no, hold on. On a serious note, though, Curtis, I
Saying
gotta
what
say,
most of the
I
fans
gotta
are
say,
thinking. I'm sorry. This kid
gotta
deserves
say,
credit.
I gotta
Credit
say,
for what?
Credit for getting in there with Floyd Mayweather and trading punches. I'm sorry. You wouldn't have fared as well as he did.
Who? Get the fuck
You.
out of here. You gotta be fucking shitting me. I would fucking kill Jake Paul and Logan Paul in the same fucking night.
I meant Floyd.
I would fuck Floyd up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to launch this fight right here on Boxing Insider Radio. Curtis Jones coming out of retirement.
First of all,
Floyd Mayweather.
I would whip Floyd's ass.
$100 million. Henry and I only won 10%.
I would whip Floyd's ass. He too little. I'll make sure I know how to punch. These motherfuckers was swinging fucking what he was doing. Like, get out of here.
Boxer. Right. He was doing jackass stunts a year ago. He's not a boxer. You've been boxing for 100 years. How old are you?
I'd knock Floyd out.
Which is actually another interesting point that you're saying there, Curtis, is that this kid, he doesn't know how to throw punches. So a lot of times when I would have this discussion about this fight leading up to it with people at the gym, I would, because everybody would be like, oh, this kid, he has 30 pounds, 40 pounds over Floyd. I'm like, I understand that. But when you have somebody who's 30, 40 pounds and doesn't exactly know what they're doing in that ring, that means nothing. You know, that really means absolutely nothing. Simply because once you start wailing those punches like he did in that first round, what's going to happen? You fatigue. And then after that, you're not going to be able to, you don't know how to pace yourself. Therefore, the more experienced boxer, whether he's a lot smaller or bigger than the guy, he's going to know how to pace himself, and he's going to know how to take over. In this situation, Logan Paul obviously did not know. So then exactly that's what happened. He fatigued after that first round. He let that little flurry out. He thought he looked cool. And Floyd walked him back for the rest of the 7 rounds.
I would say his physical attributes did enable Floyd to a certain degree. Floyd wasn't able to hit him with a jab. I mean, the reach was ridiculous in the height. On top of that, he wasn't able to hit him with the jab. I was more impressed with the fact that Floyd were able to slip and roll his right hand with that reach. I would give Floyd that. Like, his reflexes is still on point. I would give him that. But like I was impressed that he actually went and slipped that shit and came back in with a nice right hand.
But you weren't impressed with Logan Paul's performance.
Hell no.
Come on, you gotta give him at least a little bit of credit.
You know who I was impressed with? Luis Arias. Him and Jarrett Hurd. I was impressed with Luis Arias.
But before we talk about this fight, I need to have a little full disclosure. Henry and I went to watch the fight together, and we were not able to see this fight because Showtime, which is the king of boxing right now, their online app crashed because they couldn't handle all the people ordering this fight. So we missed like a good hour of this paper, and we weren't the only ones.
We missed the first 3 fights.
Yeah, listen, check this out. We're trying to get Showtime as a sponsor. Do not badmouth that app. No.
This app went down, and Henry had a very funny meme that I couldn't post, but it was it was a shame because they probably
you gotta look at it. Showtime, that Showtime app had a lot of shit going on. That TV show, The Shy, people were like watching that.
This crashed because 25 million Jake Paul, Logan Paul fans were trying to buy it at the same time.
Yeah, of course. They had kids.
This is the kind of thing that used to happen when Mike Tyson fought. This hasn't happened in the modern era. I mean, maybe every randomly when like Conor McGregor or Ronda Rousey, or there was a huge fight like that. But generally speaking, in the last 5-10 years, you haven't had many events that have crashed the server.
Henry, did you get your refund?
Well, apparently I was reading an article that they said that they're going to be issuing refunds to people who ordered the fight that were not able to see it. But still waiting on it. We'll see what happens. I'll have to follow up on that.
Henry contributed to 2 buys, one on Showtime and one on Fanmio. And Fanmio ran perfectly. It was just simulcasting the Showtime stream.
Mm-hmm.
Henry, you're a real Logan Paul fan. You ordered this shit twice. Henry DeLeon ordered it twice.
Listen, we can't discuss this without knowing what we're discussing. So it's important that we're up to date on what's happening. You know.
Listen,
Look, the fact of the matter is, Chris, you can hate these kids all you want, and I'm fine.
I don't hate them. I don't hate them. Let me tell you something. You know why? You know what? You know what I love about the Paul brothers, and this is what I'm gonna say. They are showing up every fucking promoter in the sport of boxing. They are and UFC. They're showing up every fucking body.
UFC fighter, I forget the guy's name, but he
that means
fighter turned down a fight from the UFC, saying, "No, Dana's not offering me enough money. That we want to get paid like Logan Paul's getting paid."
Listen, these kids are great promoters, great businessmen and promoters, hands down.
Let me ask you a question. So we've got a friend. I don't want to use his name because he didn't want to come on the show tonight. But we've got a friend. He's a 2-0 boxer. What could he take from the Logan Paul playbook to become a bigger name? Because clearly these kids have cracked the code. And can any other boxer, guys that we know, guys that we haven't heard of, can other boxers follow this blueprint? Or is it just going to be these two kids are going to ride off into the sunset like no other boxer could recreate what Floyd Mayweather was doing?
Listen,
but these kids just came in, and I'm telling you, they're going to be able to do Pacquiao numbers for a long time to come. Is there any way that certain up-and-coming fighters can grab onto the imagination of younger fans?
You have to do something out of ordinary. You know what I mean? You got to be extra. It's like those kids went out and not only promoted themselves on different avenues. These kids promoted themselves on different avenues, and like a lot of these fighters look like, you know what? I'm not selling any tickets. I'm not gonna promote myself this way. I'm not gonna do that. I don't like doing interviews. I don't like doing this. These guys are showing you that go ahead and get your YouTube channel. Go ahead and do interviews because
more than an interview, because this kid Logan Paul is slashing other YouTubers' tires. Logan was, that was Jake.
Of course, they're vandalizing people.
I watched a video that was taped I think last April. That was the funniest thing I've ever saw. That some kid dressed like Ivan Drago showed up at Logan Paul's house. They made him sign the waiver, and in the backyard he boxed this kid. This kid is genius with marketing.
But you want to hear something though? We gotta address the elephant in the room though. And I hate to address the elephant all the time because the elephant is real. Like, listen, the color of their skin says a whole lot of why it's true. Like, yo, it's true. No, man, fuck that. It's true. Like, yo, dude, it's fucking true. Like you look at it like this, right? Floyd Mayweather didn't become Floyd Mayweather until he became the villain.
All right, but
you understand what I'm saying?
What's one attribute that we can say that Floyd Mayweather has that the two Paul brothers have as well? What's one attribute that he has?
Everyone wants to see them get their asses kicked.
Aside from that, there's something about who they are as a person, who they are as a person. It's charisma. All three of them are charismatic. That's what draws attention. They're charismatic.
Oh man, they listen. They're doing that fucking jackass shit. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put Larry in a shopping cart and push him down some fucking stairs.
And I bet you that will go viral.
And it go viral. And then guess what? Then Larry can get you a fight after that.
I would put you in the shopping cart.
But Henry, just truthfully, you know that race plays a big part in that shit.
But I don't think that in that particular situation it does. I just honestly think like if we put race aside, you'll see that those guys are very charismatic. They have personality. Terrence Crawford, I'm sorry, but he has no personality.
Of course. That's why he's nobody.
Gervonta Davis, I'm sorry, as a phenomenal fighter as he may be, has no
horrible.
The only one that's actually following up very similar to what the Paul brothers is doing is Jake Paul. And is Ryan Garcia. And Teofimo Lopez is right behind him.
Of course.
Simply because they're using what tools they have, which is social media, the internet. They're using that to their advantage.
So anyway, Curtis, what else did you think about this fight card?
The fight card sucked, to be honest with you. I mean, the Jarrett Hurd fight and Lewis Harris was a great competitive fight. The Bottle Jack fight was like the last minute opponent. Like, this guy didn't even fight. Like, he got knocked down like 5 times and got like 7 points taken from him. I think the score, I didn't know they could score around 0. Like, that dude ain't scored not 1 point. I mean, it was a horrible fight, the Badou Jack fight. But the Jarrett Hurd fight and Lewis Harris fight was very, very entertaining. That was the highlight of the night. And I also found out that Jarrett Hurd cannot get out of the way of a right hand. I mean, this kid was loading up overhand rights, teeing off on Jarrett Hurd, round after round after round. I mean, Jarrett had his moments where he cut him, so on and so forth, but the will that Lewis had came and he propelled. He just won. He just outlanded him, landed that right hand.
So anyway, it just got announced. It was just came over the wires about an hour ago. Reported by The Athletic that this bout did over 1 million pay-per-view buys at $49.99. Nobody is drawing 1 million pay-per-view buys in 2021. Who else but Floyd Mayweather and the Pauls could do this? Canelo wasn't doing those kind of numbers. I mean, on the zone. I mean, who else does these kind of numbers? I mean, the Tyson Fury fight will possibly, maybe not Wilder or the Joshua fight. They'll do around those numbers.
Errol Spence Pacquiao will do them numbers. Pacquiao is a big pay-per-view draw, and Errol Spence has been showing that he's been putting up some good pay-per-view numbers as well. So they would do that.
So you're saying that the Paul brothers, the guys who we didn't even know who the hell they were a year ago, are on that same small little area with Errol Spence, Manny Pacquiao, and the heavyweight champions of the world. I mean, I'm sorry, you got to give these kids credit.
No, you know what it is? It's entertainment. It's entertainment. Like, at the end of the day, like, we go to the movies. It's entertainment. Jake Paul, Logan Paul is entertainment. You're going to watch it. What? So, I mean, I don't like golf, but millions of people watch it. It's entertainment. We're going to watch it.
But with golf, you don't have golf fans saying that if a freak show comes around in golf, saying, "Oh, well, the people who are watching the U.S. Open this year aren't real golf fans."
All right. So you ever seen that movie with Adam Sandler and he was playing golf with a hockey stick? Now, if I start doing videos of me hitting golf balls in the holes with hockey sticks, I'm quite sure. Tiger Federer, who the hell, I don't even know these guys, and Tiger Woods or somebody will probably curse at me like this guy's a joke. But people will watch me, right?
If you beat him, or if you were able to go heads up one-on-one with him on a pay-per-view and made a lot of money, I mean, we would respect that. I mean, I would look for a cut, but I mean, I would respect that.
Long as Henry gets his cut too.
Well, Henry and I are partners, so anything that I get,
That's dope. But it's entertainment. Like, we can't deny the fact that it's entertainment. It's pure entertainment.
How long do you think this sort of entertainment is going to last? How long do you think it's going to go? Because now we have also other celebrities doing the same thing now.
See,
Ocho Cinco was even on the card, former NFL player.
Yeah, Ocho Cinco.
But he looked good. He looked good.
Listen,
I saw the fight.
He did turn his back at one point and ran. I'm not gonna lie, he did turn his back and run. But at the end of the day, if you follow Ocho Cinco, like Ocho Cinco was like a big spectacle in the NFL. Like, he did his little cha-cha-cha dance, and he's a big YouTube star. He does crazy videos. He was on Basketball Wives with Evelyn. Like, he does stuff. He's a fan-friendly kind of guy. When he got signed to the New England Patriots, he actually lived at a fan's house for like a month. You know what I mean? He's a friend-friendly guy. He's an internet guy. He's an attention seeker. So, like, of course, I mean, and he's an athlete too, as that. Let's not leave that out. But also, saying like he's gonna draw attention to it. That's why he got paid $1 million.
So, do you think the celebrity boxing thing is going to be going on for a while then?
Yes.
Oh no, it's definitely gonna go on for a while.
Do you think this is probably going to be even hotter than ever was before?
Of course. I mean, I don't know if you ever watched. I don't know if you're old enough to remember like Celebrity Deathmatch. Like, it used to come on and they used to have like Tanya Harding fighting and the refrigerated Perry Willis from Different Strokes. Like, they've been doing celebrity boxing for a while, but I think it has been rejuvenated by the Pauls brothers.
But now here's the question, Curtis. So with this going on, is boxing dead?
No. This is actually, can I just speak from Boxing Insider standpoint? This has kicked boxing in the ass. And look, there's a YouTube versus TikToker event that we're not covering that's going on this weekend. You've got Jake Paul's fighting some UFC fighter at the end of the summer. And nobody's talking about that this is setting up the stage for Mike Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. So this
Wait.
is not the end, and there's gonna be all summer, there's gonna be all events promoted in weird markets like in Atlantic City, which is gonna be some random TikToker versus some C-level celebrity we've never heard of, and they're going to do better numbers in some cases than
I mean,
we want to see. Now that's not right. We're not going to cover all of it. This is special because it was Showtime and it was Floyd Mayweather. If Jake Paul or Logan Paul was fighting, I don't know, KR224, and it wasn't on a DAZN card,
you're so wrong.
what?
You're so wrong. You just keep messing that guy's name up.
No, I'm so sorry.
It's funny because I think I came across a tweet that he said after the fight, saying, "So I guess I'm the greatest boxer ever now."
It's funny. It's funny, but Mike Tyson doesn't need any promotion. Mike Tyson, the myth, it's like
no, but
a
that's
myth.
For our generation.
Mike Tyson transcends generations.
The kids don't know who that is, man.
Who doesn't know who Mike Tyson is?
Don't know Mike Tyson, man.
These kids what Henry's trying to say is these kids that follow Jake Paul and Logan Paul, they think they are this generation's Mike Tyson, and that's basically empowering a whole group of kids saying, "Well, if our guy can do it, we can do it." It's completely different than from the way we look at it.
It has to be funny, like the age group of their like following is like under 10.
But it's interesting because if you really think about it, so now you see a little kid goes to his father and be like, "Hey, Dad, I saw Jake Paul fight. I want to be like Jake Paul. He's gonna be champion of the world." And then now the father's gonna be like, "Son, this isn't real boxing. Let me show you. Let me introduce you to someone who's actually a real boxer." Then he shows him, let's say, Mike Tyson. Shows him Lennox Lewis. Shows him, I don't know, Canelo or whoever it is that's hot
and
right now.
It scares the shit out of his kid to never want to box again.
You see, that's the transition where that kid becomes more introduced into boxing. He starts to learn and familiarize himself with these names. But again, what lured him in was Jake Paul, Logan Paul.
Jesus,
so you gotta admit that in a way it is bringing more attention into boxing. It's bringing.
Yo, dude, I cannot believe we are sitting up here talking about YouTube guys being the biggest pay-per-view draws.
Well, it's very similar to like Rocky. When Rocky the movie came out, obviously it wasn't a real fight. He wasn't a real fighter, but people saw that and they were like, "Oh, I want to be a boxer now too. I want to be like Rocky."
Well, guess what?
It's similar.
Carl Withers is the greatest actor that ever threw punches ever.
Actor. You said it yourself.
No.
These YouTube guys, they're at least throwing punches for real.
But they don't throw better punches than Carl Withers. Like, yo, listen, Apollo Creed, the guy who played Apollo Creed, actually threw great punches. Have you seen these other actors try to like be in boxing movies? They suck.
But we're drifting away from the point, Curtis. Can we say that this is not the similar that Rocky did not have the same effect as the Logan brothers are having right now with these kids?
I mean,
Rocky movies weren't real. Creed, even the Creed movies right now, the kids that are seeing that, they're like, "Oh, I want to be like that guy."
No, but you want to hear something what Rocky did? Rocky was very, very inspirational. That the storyline, was very, very inspirational. Like, you ever rock the last Rocky when he fought Antonio Tarver? Not to cut you off. I even contemplating coming out of retirement after that shit he said about something in the basement. I was like, "Oh shit! Like, I'm about to go fight again." You know what I mean?
But you see, that's inspirational to us. But who's not to say that the Logan brothers are inspiring little kids to show them that, hey, look, you can do whatever you want so long as you set your mind and put the hard work in.
The thing I like about StreamYard is that if there's
what the fuck did you do?
What the fuck was that?
Larry, why would you do that? Like, why would you do that?
I was trying to play a Rocky clip and that came on.
So can we not say that it's not having the same effect that the Rocky films had in our generation?
I don't know. This generation, like, listen, I get it. And we said it when we were younger. Get with the times, old man. I guess we're the old people now, and I guess we got to get with the times. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say, yeah, they're doing what they're supposed to do as far as like promoting themselves and getting that money, and possibly introducing people to the sport of boxing. Possibly.
There we go. He admitted it. Thank you.
Everybody, I just had
Time to come around.
they just put me through therapy, intense therapy just now. I don't know. I came around. I guess we got to get with the times.
Well, I think Henry actually has a very good point. I think that it's not geared to, it wasn't geared specifically to us. You have an entire generation, and they're not 10 years old. I mean, they're probably under 20, but they're not 10. You do have an entire generation of younger teenagers who like the kids for their not their boxing stunts, but their jackass like stunts. I mean, some of their videos, and I wasn't really familiar with them until all this buildup, are very funny.
Yeah, I mean they're funny, and there's another. You know, what's so crazy.
I mean,
There's
Jake Paul
another guy
end up in jail, and his brother the brother comes out with a mint condition Pokemon card that apparently could be, now that he's worn it in the fight, they say is worth over $1 million. And if you collected baseball cards growing up, this thing was a graded 10, and it was on a case that was diamond encrusted. I mean, it was crazy what he came out to with this good luck Pokemon card.
It was a Charizard card.
A Charizard. You want to hear something? Charizard was actually my favorite Pokemon guy. And you know what's crazy? I actually know the song to Pokemon.
Go on, sing it to us. No, hold on, Curtis, go on, sing it.
I want to be the very best. No one ever was. To catch them is my will test, and to train them is the call. Pokemon, gotta catch you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you will never, ever guess what's coming up. Boxinginsider.com radio. We had the Cash Out King himself singing the Pokemon song.
Come on, man. I watch Pokemon. Cut it out, man.
I mean, and I got to be honest, I'm reading this, and I want to know how that card's worth more than a mint condition Mickey Mantle rookie.
I don't think it's worth more than that.
It's worth $1 million. They said that.
Well, now with what's going on now in this generation sucks. Like, I look at my kids, and I'll be like, dude, put the game down, dude. Like, yo, get it out your hand.
Same thing without us and the stupid shit we did. It's just every generation.
Yeah, you know what we did? We played in vacant lots and played manhunt and played skelly and messed up our fingers plucking on the ground. And we did things. We did things. We used to try to catch dogs and shit like that. Catch bees.
But now let's talk about the difference in time now. Now we have online playing, video games you can play with your friends without even being in the same room. You can socialize with people without even being in the same state or country. You know, so like it's a whole different era. And therefore the Paul brothers have learned how to basically master that tool of the internet. So
you're trying to say
use it to their advantage.
If we're living in the Matrix, they're Neo and Trinity. Like,
I guess so, if that's what we want to call it.
Floyd is Morpheus.
But wouldn't you guys agree that the closest people to them that's doing the closest is Ryan Garcia in boxing?
100%.
100%.
100%.
His social media following is crazy.
But I mean, is it just because Ryan was able to catch lightning in a bottle, or can we take, and again, I don't want to mention anyone's name, but can we take a 2-0 kid who no one's ever heard of and take a playbook and create out of whole cloth this, or do we just have to find just a jackass person and throw boxing gloves on him? Can we use this model and build the next Ryan Garcia, or say Logan Paul, Jake Paul, who can actually box?
No, because I think no, because it takes a little bit more than just putting content out there. Because if your content is trash, it's trash. I mean, like Henry alluded, like to Henry, what he said, those kids have charisma. They're like very outspoken. They're likable guys. I mean, I guess I don't like them, but Henry does.
I never said that.
Henry loves them.
Henry has the poster of a.
Yeah, right.
And everybody, Larry's getting Jake Paul handprints tatted on his back.
Larry bought the gotcha hat as soon as it went on sale.
Larry has that Floyd Mayweather autographed WBC belt that's keeping him company this episode.
But I think going back to Larry's question, I think honestly, I think you can take a bit of their blueprint in helping build a fighter's following simply by putting that kid out there, especially if that kid is charismatic. If that kid is
outgoing.
Let's say outgoing, exactly. If you can put that into content and to make content off of that and where it shows his personality, it shows who he is as a person, I think so. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fighters, great fighters, that for whatever reason they just don't have that. They don't have that charisma.
But also, you have to have the look.
And
Because if you look at a guy like, if you take
100%.
if we go back in the days and we take a guy and we take Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali, he was a clean cut guy, outspoken, boyish features, like he was funny, you know what I mean? Like you take a guy like Marvin Hagler, who wasn't
very
the clean
serious,
cut,
exactly.
very serious kind of. Listen, he'll get you out, he'll kill you. You know what I mean? You know, he changed. Marvin Hagler actually changed boxing. They stopped having 15-round fights and made it 12 rounds because Hagler was just getting stronger as the fight goes on. Whatever, that's another story. But like,
but you know, another now that you mentioned these old timers, I think another perfect example is Mayorga, Ricardo Mayorga. He wasn't nowhere near a skillful fighter.
He was horrible,
but he had charisma. He was entertaining. People wanted to see what he was going to say next. You know,
of course.
Now, if you
I didn't understand
that,
nothing he said, but yeah, but like,
but if
I loved Mayorga.
If you combine that charisma, that personality, that outgoing personality with talent, you have yourself a superstar. Look at Canelo right now. The fact that he's learning how to speak English right now is probably
Payday. You want payday?
It's probably the funniest
shit
thing.
ever.
But again, that's going to help him grow his following.
Get out of here! Get out of here! I fuck you out.
Conor McGregor was another one who had a similar following because he was so outspoken. He was very charismatic. That helped grow his following. You know, so I think
if Floyd had to be the villain.
Yeah, I mean, but even so, despite him being the villain, he knew that he had to make a change. He had to make something in where people would want to see him, whether it was to win or whether it was to lose. He had to do something.
But that's actually
that was genius.
But the whole Money Mayweather, the guy does not get credit. And you guys are both going to make fun of me for what's about to come out of my mouth. But the guy does not get credit for who really created the whole Floyd Money Mayweather persona. And that's Triple H. This whole thing started in the WWE when Floyd fought the Big Show. That was when he stopped really being Pretty Boy Floyd. And they created that whole Money Mayweather persona. And this whole thing has been built off of that. This whole thing has been built off of wrestling marketing.
Exactly. So now, but that's actually a very good point, Larry, because I don't know how true that is, but
no,
if it is true. If it is true,
this is Triple H's playbook. Triple H walked Floyd to the ring a few times.
The WWE or WWF, whatever you want to call it, those guys are geniuses in building characters.
No,
they can make pretty much almost anybody into a superstar. And therefore, if that is the reason why Floyd Mayweather became Money Mayweather, then that was genius on his part to take advice from.
But it was the same thing. So Floyd, and what Floyd did then, if Curtis was a wrestling fan, he would hate because they brought in Floyd, an outsider. They put him on a pay-per-view. He came in as an outsider, and all these fans that were wrestling fans stuck around and ordered Floyd Mayweather events. Now they ordered the events, the WWE fans ordered these events to watch him lose, but this was that fan base that Floyd was able to bring into boxing for a very long time.
Well, wrestling is also responsible for pay-per-view. Vince McMahon,
Vince
Senior, he's the one who started everything with pay-per-view. They didn't have it. Wrestling's come on free, but then he started like pay-per-view, WrestleMania and all that shit. Then boxing followed suit. So yeah, wrestling did,
but close enough. But the point is, he all the attributes of him being a quote unquote bad guy is Triple H. It is heel pro wrestling, and Floyd did it amazingly. And he did it, and when he was doing it at his peak, it was doing it with the Manny Pacquiao fans. They wanted to kill him during this build-up because the fight didn't happen for so long. And then later on, with Conor McGregor, it was the same thing because Conor McGregor was so beloved by the MMA fans, and Floyd he had this blueprint where he's just going to stand up there and do his thing, and people are going to hate him because he's Floyd Mayweather. And he's going to have legalized bank robbery. And he did it again.
And even if you break down Mike Tyson, Curtis, that guy was charismatic as hell.
No. Mike Tyson.
He had
We wanted to
personality.
watch, but the difference was we wanted to watch Mike Tyson kill people. Nobody was tuning into Mike to watch Mike Tyson lose. Floyd has it set up, and now the Logan and Jake have done the same thing. You were tuning in to watch all three of them lose. You were never tuning in to watch Mike Tyson lose.
But again, Mike Tyson, people were tuning in to see him kill people simply because of that character that he was in public, in front of the cameras. That's because of the way he spoke.
No. Mike Tyson is it's like that kid, like you're like say like my daughter, and you know, like that parent that your kid can't do no wrong. That's what Mike Tyson was, because Mike Tyson could say the most outrageous shit in the world, and everybody just laugh. It's Mike Tyson, you gotta laugh. Like I don't know.
I'm gonna eat your children.
Yeah, he's gonna make love to you. He's gonna do you in the butt until you love him. Like,
another perfect example too.
Said, Curtis.
Another perfect example would be Adrian Broner. Everybody
loves
to see that guy talk.
To see him lose. That is why Adrian Broner will always be getting these fights long after. If he was anybody else, he would have expired. But Adrian Broner will always
because he knows how to promote himself in the lead.
Because anybody can get it. A Mexican, an African.
Oh, Curtis is doing the Can Man speech.
Yo, that shit is funny. Like,
I
yo,
laughed so hard, but I got in so much trouble retweeting that one night. Oh.
What, the Can? Well, you was the Can Man tonight?
Man, oh my God, that is so horrible. How could you say that? Oh yeah.
But again,
I just beat the fuck out of an
all
African.
these fighters that we named, all these fighters that we've named, they all had that charisma, that personality, that outgoing personality, and where people wanted to see them. People wanted to engage with what they were going to do next.
This was wrestling psychology 101. You couldn't have Hulk Hogan if you didn't have
Billy Joe Graham. No,
Roddy
Billy Graham. No. You would not have Hulk Hogan if it wasn't for a superstar Billy Graham.
No. I'm not, the point I'm making is in the psychology that the Paul brothers and Floyd Mayweather and all these people have is it's right out of the pro wrestling playbook. In order for the good guy to look good, you need a bad guy that you really, really hate. So in the early wrestling days in WWE, when they came out with WrestleMania, it was you hated Roddy Piper, you hated King Kong Bundy, you hated the bad guys, and you wanted to watch the good guy win. So you were invested in not just seeing Hulk Hogan, but you wanted to watch him beat somebody that you really hated. And that was the model that Floyd Mayweather was able to expertly execute. And that's all we're saying is to be a heel, it had nothing to do with anything other than having that charisma and making the fans hate you. And then having people tune in to watch you, win or lose. And it's not a very complicated model, but it's a model that's been going on for forever.
And I think another name too that's worth mentioning too, Tyson Fury. Oh, he's another one.
I want to know if he got a sponsor deal with Versace, because he's been wearing a whole lot of Versace lately. He's been wearing I ain't gonna lie, at first I didn't like Tyson Fury. I didn't like Tyson Fury because he used to sing and he sounded horrible. I was like, who is this guy? But after the Wilder fight, he's actually grown on me. I actually think he's a funny guy. I find his antics funny now. I didn't like him at first though, but he's funny. And I think Versace needs to give Tyson Fury a sponsorship deal. This dude is Versace down to the socks.
Bye, Miss American Pie. Joe, I mean, the fact that he got up and freestyled that song after that last fight was, in my opinion, was one of the great moments in boxing history.
What song did he freestyle?
American Pie.
Oh, I don't think me and Henry know that song.
Oh, Henry knows it. Henry knows it very well.
Henry doesn't know that song. Henry, do you know American Pie? I know American Pie, the movie.
Larry would play that nonstop at Mendes Boxing, back to back. He would put $20 in the jukebox and play that song repeatedly. So yes, I am familiar with that song.
I thought you was talking about when he quoted Biggie Smalls, "Rings and watch filled with rocks, Versace." You know what I mean? I thought he was talking about that, not American Pie. What do you? I don't know. Whatever. That's just some big Dawson shit,
Make me smile. Sing along if you know the words. And I knew had my chance, I could make those people dance and maybe they'd be happy.
I mean,
Okay.
that is star power that he could pull that song off an acapella and just sing it in front of the entire arena. Is just amazing.
You should have saw the song he sung at in the MGM that night after he beat Wilder. Jesus
That was the song you sang. That was the song. That was
no, that was the song he actually sung. Oh my god, I was drunk anyway. I had too much Henny. I didn't remember, but I know it sounded horrible.
He had Bob Arum singing with him.
FYI, Boxing Insider does not own the rights to that song. We gotta censor that shit because Instagram is gonna say you do not own the rights to that song.
You do not own the rights to Tyson Fury singing that song. But anyway, I mean, I think that we're gonna be talking about these guys, and look, I understand that we're gonna all disagree on this, and that's fine. But the fact is, we're gonna be talking about these guys in that same level as we should be talking about Canelo and Pacquiao and Errol Spence for the next year or two. Now, I don't see them going away, and I see that they are going to be, when the numbers come out for Showtime at the next year, you're going to find out that they made a huge amount of their quarterly money this quarter off of this fight and the next Paul fight. So regardless of what any of us say, this is solid business for Showtime Boxing, and it will probably be funding boxing fights that we do want to see next year.
Well, at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to Tyrone Woodley beating the shit out of Jake Paul.
I'm willing to bet you money that fight that does not happen.
Wow, I thought it was a sign. No.
I mean, I'm willing to bet money that Jake Paul wins that fight.
Are you serious? I'll bet you.
I don't believe that. I do not believe that fight would be happening. If you believe this is all pro wrestling, then there's no way Jake Paul loses this fight.
Well, so, I like Tyrone Woodley in that fight.
Okay, well, we will have to bet that on the week before that fight.
Yeah, we have to bet. And let's not forget, my little sister is making her MMA debut tomorrow on ESPN 2 or Plus, or is it ESPN 2 or Plus? Clarissa Shields, the GOAT, is about to step into the cage. What do y'all think about that?
Will she still be the GOAT if she loses?
In boxing.
Yes.
In boxing.
So, yes.
In boxing.
Because how many boxers have you heard of that, in male or female, have the courage to basically do that change? To go
Holly Holmes, the girl that knocked out Yeah, Holly Holmes.
Holly Holmes became a champion in the UFC. You've got Heather Hardy fought in Bellator. You had Amanda Serrano's doing it, and it's almost. And I have to say this, since we're talking about this now, and I wasn't expecting to. It's sort of offensive that some of the best boxers, female boxers in the sport of boxing, have got to cross over into MMA to make their biggest payday and to get the extra notoriety that they should be getting in boxing.
Well, listen. We all know what boxing is doing. Like, boxing promoters are not promoting fighters anymore. You got to do it yourself, and it's sad that these women are put in this predicament. World champions, and they don't get no notoriety whatsoever.
Well, I've been told by a few of them that certain power brokers in boxing, just for whatever reason, don't want to put women boxing center stage, whereas in MMA, say what you want, Ronda Rousey saved the UFC when they were dying at that one era. They were dying a few years ago, and Ronda Rousey propped them up and was huge for a couple of years. In boxing's dying, and you don't see them giving Clarissa Shields. Clarissa Shields has all the tools to be a star, and she's got to go over across the street to ESPN on the PFL and fight there to get possibly her biggest payday to date.
No, I think it is going to be her biggest payday.
And that's sad. And that's sad because she's a gold medalist.
Two-time gold medalist.
Two-time gold medalist. She now, by the way, we're making all the jokes we want. She could clearly put on the gloves tomorrow and beat the you-know-what out of either one of those Paul brothers.
I know who she would definitely beat up. You, Larry.
Yeah, I knew
you, Larry. No, but seriously, all jokes aside,
she doesn't want this smoke.
But no, seriously,
Come on, Clarissa, I'm coming for you.
It's
That
very
was a joke. I don't want nothing.
it's
I
very
think
sad that these
you're
women
right.
have to cross over to MMA to make a decent dollar. It's sad.
But do
I
you think
mean,
now that boxing is coming back, and you say what you want about COVID and the quarantines and all the other stuff, boxing is back, and there's a lot of fights coming. Do you think that there's a chance that we're going to see them, or because boxing is consolidated to literally 3 promoters? That's it. I mean, there's only 3.
yeah, but I think like if Mike
It's
Tyson
not like-
has his way and he start having boxing leagues, maybe we get rid of the promoters. We see
I
more. We see more Al Haymans, less promoters.
Well, Al Heyman's technical. Al Heyman's playing a technical role there, but I mean, you have Jake Paul, who's just by sheer will his headline pay-per-views, or Logan Paul. Can these guys, and I think we discussed this a couple months ago, can a Ryan Garcia, can these boxers with their following now circumvent the promoters?
I mean, listen, I think fighters today are more afraid of losing. That's why you don't see the best fights. And that's why I always say Sugar Ray Leonard is the greatest fighter of all time. Because like he's fought everybody. You don't see Terrence Crawford fighting Errol Spence now. You don't see like Jamal Charlo fighting GGG or Canelo. You don't see the fights that the fans want to see. And the end result of that is that boxing is dying because everybody's holding on to their
Well, how do you say boxing is dying when I'm just telling you we did 1 million pay-per-view buys on Sunday?
We did a million pay-per-view buys in an exhibition, bro. Like that's not championship boxing.
I'm telling you,
well, I should say championship boxing is dying. Championship boxing is dying.
So you're telling me no, we're not going to come close to that number when Tyson Fury fights. We're not.
Of course, that's an anomaly. That's an anomaly.
And Errol Spence and Pacquiao's an anomaly.
That's another anomaly.
Is it Holyfield? I mean, Tyson and Lewis is an anomaly.
Look, Tyson
Let's
and
not
Lewis.
forget the lightweights. If the lightweights start going after each other, what's going to happen there?
Hold on.
To happen.
Javante Davis has a fight June 19th. Does Javante and Mario Barrio do a million pay-per-view buys?
No, because nobody knows who Mario Barrios is. But if Gervonta Davis fought
Ryan Garcia.
He fought Ryan Garcia, that would break the bank.
But see, promoters are not putting their fighters to fight.
But I mean, that goes back to 100 years ago when Don King fighters wouldn't fight Bob Arum fighters.
Well, Don King had a monopoly. He monopolized the sport. Like he had everybody, and you couldn't fight a Don King fighter.
If you weren't with Don, you couldn't fight him. So
if you wanted to fight a Don King fighter, you had to sign with Don King. You had to give him a piece of you.
Carl King.
Yeah, and you also had to sign with Carl King. Yes, that's true. But it's so funny. I was looking at a video of Mitch Green pushing Carl King at the Mike Tyson weigh-in.
I'm quoting Mike Tyson, but do you mean Bitch Green?
Yeah, no, don't talk about Mitch Green. Mitch Green will hurt you.
I didn't say that. Mike Tyson said that. That's just one of the great nicknames of our time.
But I mean, like Mike Tyson said this a long time ago. I think after the Lewis fight, and he said, "Yo, other fighters, you shouldn't tell another fighter you don't want to fight them because we need each other in the sport. We need each other to thrive. And if we don't start seeing the best fights happening, we're gonna see more Jake Pauls and more Logan Pauls, and we can all just sit here and talk about it and be mad about it. But we're gonna see more of these guys pop up."
I'm sorry. The best. And this is sad. This is a sorry commentary, but in some cases, the best fights are not going to do as well as Got Your Hat.
No, I mean, but you want to hear something? Honestly, I laughed at that shit, but that shit was very juvenile. Like, I'm being honest with you. If it was me, I would have fucking ballistics.
Let me ask you guys a question though. Jake Paul retweeted Canelo's tweet and said, "I would eat you alive." The chances of that exhibition ever happening, Jake Paul and Canelo,
he would never do it.
How would that do?
2 rounds, if the most. Canelo will murder him.
And you would buy that fight?
I would buy it just to see him get murdered.
And we would enjoy
exactly. And that's exactly my point as to why people buy the Logan Paul.
No. I just want to see. I just want to be at his funeral. If he fights Canelo, that'll be his funeral.
The Pacquiao fans were saying about the Floyd Mayweather fight. Everyone wanted to see Floyd lose. And I'm sorry. Now you're right. It should be a boxer. but for whatever reason, everybody wants to see these kids lose.
Because they're probably the
Well,
most hated
listen,
people in boxing right
if
now.
you look at
I mean,
if you
Curtis
look at
loved that video that when the entire UFC arena was chanting "F Jake Paul."
yes, I love that. I love
That was
that video.
amazing.
That was amazing.
The entire arena broke into that, and
Fuck
I mean,
Jake
you
Paul.
can't create that kind of hatred. I mean, I used to be able to at Mendez when I would play that song on repeat, but seriously, nobody could get that kind of heat, and that was like that was like a pro wrestler would kill for the kind of heat that the Paul brothers have right now.
True.
Or a fighter.
And I mean, and that's the reason that the fighters hate them has everything to do with the simple fact that they're more, and it's not right. I wish it wasn't this way, but they are more marketable than just about every fighter we can think of right now.
Because right now they have the spotlight, and every fighter is basically that's what they want. They want to be in the spotlight, and unfortunately, right now, 2 YouTube guys have the spotlight.
Their juvenile antics are like the funniest thing in the entire world, and they are flooding the zone. You can't, if you're like right now in the boxing media, forget Boxing Insider. You just go on Google and type in boxing. Like they are sucking all the air out of the room for other boxers. But you know what? You don't care about the other boxers. You want to read this nonsense. This is clickbait, but you want to read it. It's not clickbait in the sense that you click it and oh no, this is stupid. Like you're just like these guys are enthralling. I just don't know.
Well, Larry, I just Googled boxing and a picture of Ryan Garcia and Tyson Fury popped up, and I think Chocolito. So I don't think Jake Paul popped up on boxing. So you're wrong. You're wrong.
I just typed in boxing, Curtis, and the top story you can look at my phone right here. It says Floyd Mayweather versus Logan Paul results on CBS Sports. Number 2 is boxing fans are suspicious about the Mayweather Paul. Okay. Number 3 is Jimmy Fallon roasting it. Number 4 is an unsanctioned brawl in Washington Square Park. Number 5 is Canelo saying that he'll knock or Oscar De La Hoya Ward.
Yeah.
Canelo.
Number 1 story on mine is Fox News. Boxing fans point to suspicious moment during Mayweather Paul bout. That's number 1. So, like it or not, they're here, Curtis. They're here.
All right. I just Googled again, and boxing fans point to suspicious point. Unsanctioned boxer slug it out.
You know what it
Washington
is?
Square Park.
He misspelled boxing.
Oh no!
No. 50 cents. Hold on. That rumor, not you. Remember.
Yeah, look, Clarissa Shields has conquered the women boxing world. She comes up as the number 3 story. Clarissa Shields. USA Today.
Let's talk about this guy. Dana White compares Logan Paul boxing to Kim Kardashian joining the UFC. Curtis, go.
I saw a tweet about somebody gonna whoop Kim Kardashian's ass.
I think it was Amanda Nunes.
Yeah,
Amanda Nunes. She said she was gonna whoop Kim Kardashian's ass, but I don't know. I seen Kim Kardashian slap what's her sister name that Tristan Thompson has the baby with Chloe.
Curtis, you're gonna agree with this, so let's read the quote. You've got people this is Dana White speaking. You've got people that are that stupid enough to spend that kind of money. They deserve to take those dummies' money. Those guys went out and fought, and you've got to pay $50. Well, you know what? They deserve your money.
No, man, he's stupid because Dana White's stupid. It's entertainment. People paid $50 to be entertained. Like at the end of the day, we can say it's entertaining.
Imagine if Kim Kardashian wanted to fight Amanda Nunes, White pondered. How big do you think that fight would be? It'd be huge.
It'll break Floyd Mayweather and Logan Paul's record.
I don't know about that, but it'd definitely be big.
Are you crazy? Have you not seen Kim Kardashian's Instagram? Her following, it's ridiculous. I think she has the most. I think she has the most. I think Miley Cyrus has the most, and then it's Kim Kardashian.
But that's just to show you that all it takes is a following.
Of course, everything is a following. Come on, everything takes it.
There you have it.
Listen, outside the police following me every time I walk down the block. I mean, that's only following like that.
But anyways, guys,
well, as I continue to Google down boxing, they Mike Tyson's boxing coach guarantees that Mike Tyson will return by November. So could we see the Evander Holyfield fight by November?
No, Holyfield fighting.
No, we're gonna see Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul in an exhibition. That's what we're gonna see.
Dude, if Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, that is the fight we have to go to.
Yes, I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I just want to go to a Mike Tyson fight anyway. I don't care. It's Mike Tyson.
Anyway, guys, I looked forward to the next of what we got. Jake Paul's fighting Tyrone Woodley in August. I know we'll have some shows in between now and then, I hope.
Oh, and Shakur Stevens is actually fighting Saturday. Whoa. We don't even talk about that.
Isn't that fucked up that here we are? We've been going on this whole show and we don't even talk about Shakur Stevenson because we have just to quote Curtis a little earlier, we got these two freaks on YouTube fighting and the greatest boxer of our generation. So we don't even talk, which has completely sucked the air out of Shakur Stevenson, a guy who was going to headline the last fight at Madison Square Garden before the pandemic.
The most talented young fighter to date right now, Shakur Stevens. Kid is nice. Super nice. And we're not even talking about, we're talking about YouTube stars.
I know, and that's what's crazy. And is it right or is it wrong? I don't know.
You know, it's the greatest. I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible that we're not talking about this Olympic silver medalist who became a 2-time world champion so quick. You know what I mean? Like, it's horrible that we're talking about YouTube guys that people are making memes about. With next to putting Jake Paul's picture next to Glass Joe from Mike Tyson's Punch Out. We're talking about this shit.
But I mean, here it all comes down to this is boxing's a business. So would you talk about Shakur Stevenson that's going to reach an audience of this, or do you want to talk about the Pauls that are going to reach a much bigger audience? So you've almost forced us to talk about the Pauls at the expense of the Shakur Stevensons. And I don't think it's and I'm speaking as a media guy, I don't think it's right. But if you understand how the media monetizes and how it works, you almost have no choice but to cover the popular freak show as opposed to the others. I mean, you're going to cover everything, but you clearly here, the show wasn't about Shakur Stevenson. 2 years ago, we would have done the entire show about Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, but we're stuck talking about
a bunch of YouTubers and arguing over them.
That's horrible.
That's the world we live in.
I you know what? At the end of the day, I blame you, Larry.
You know what? I blame me too because I have become a fan of these guys. I'm not going to lie.
You like anything remotely that has anything to do with wrestling, dude.
Nothing to do with
like
wrestling.
anything, Scott. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with wrestling.
If Ric Flair was coming back to fight, if he was coming back to fight Doink the Clown, if Ric Flair was fighting Doink the Clown, he'll pay for that shit.
And wrestling psychology, like you said.
That was on a Showtime boxing pay-per-view, and the two of them were boxing, and we had Body Jack on the undercard, and only would I be watching it, the two of you will be watching it, and we'd be doing the entire show talking about Ric Flair's training techniques. So come on.
You would watch Ric Flair versus Doink the Clown.
So would you. So would you. So would Henry.
We saw Ric Flair. Was it judge a slap boxing match? Remember?
Holy crap!
Anyways, guys, listen. Let's tune in. Saturday, Shakur Stevenson, Michaela Mayers will be on that card as well. It's gonna be a fun fight of boxing. Fun night of boxing.
There's also a pay-per-view with TikTokers versus YouTubers.
Again. ESPN, check it out. Top Rank.
It's a different event. It's on pay-per-view.
Nobody's watching that.
Always a pleasure having to get to hang out with my two favorite people. Jose was not able to join us this show because he's cornering a very lovely up-and-coming boxer, Jacob. I do not. What's her last name?
I just know her as Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob. She's a killer, and she's fighting tonight. So hopefully she knocks this girl out, and Jose can join us next week. But guys, as always, thank you very much for joining us right here on Boxinginsider.com radio. I'm Larry Goldberg for Henry DeLeon and the Cash Out King himself, Curtis
Big Daddy Jones.
Big Daddy Jones.
Stay up to date with all things Boxing Insider at Boxinginsider.com and across all social.
It's fact. I'm the best. You know what I mean? Sometimes I don't want to believe it myself, but it's the truth. I'm the best.
Until next week's fight, go to your premier boxing destination, Boxinginsider.com.